Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Scale Models Midwest. David here as always. Hoping you have a great weekend. It's been far too long since I posted a video. Just life got in the way, got real busy with work, and then when you get home, you're just so tired and trying to do stuff for other people that don't have enough time for yourself. But now I'm back down here at the workbench this morning while everybody else is asleep. So I just kind of wanted to show you what I've got going on. For starters, I completed this kit not too long back. I just had a couple little things to put on there and polish it out. But this is Aoshima's Fairlady Z, also known as not Nissan 240Z or Datsun 240Z here in the States. This was the kit that I utilized, so you can see right there. Sorry for the glare. It looks like it'd be really sharp and that chocolate brown with the black flares and all, but I wanted to go a little different, and I went on ahead and I airbrushed, let's see if I remember correctly, I had 2 light coats and then 2 heavy mist coats, and I'm trying to remember if I did this one. I did, as a matter of fact. I did the Seafoam Turquoise Metallic. This is from MCW Finishes. Laid down really well. After that, I did put some 2K Clear on there, about 3 coats, 4 coats total, and then after I let it sit for about a week and a half, I polished it out with my standard micro mesh polishing cloths. And then finally gave it a nice little coat of my turtle wax, which is my go-to. This is what I use when I wax my cars. Butter smooth wax. Never let me down. It's always been good. But I did use my Tamiya fine and finish compounds to get the shine out there that you see. And like I said, this just went together really well. This car obviously has got some toy origins, because if you look at the bottom of it, you see there's a battery box, and then you could steer it. I may very well go back here and touch up the paint these so they're black and kind of fit with the chassis, but there's really no engine detail, there's no under chassis detail. They're just focused on the body. The lines look really well. I believe these are the, hopefully I pronounce them right, the Watanabe wheels. I've got those taken care of nice and neat as well. And then, like I said, polished it out, got it nice and clean. The interior, it's all black, you know, a couple of shades, but I kind of like my white interiors. It shows the detail more, but this one just looked good in black. And I thought this would be kind of cool for one of those JDM style cars that you would see roaming around the streets of Tokyo. You can even see that roaming around the streets here. I kind of like the idea of this car. I had a neighbor live next door to us back when I was just out of high school. If I remember correctly, he had a 240, or maybe he had a 260, but it was really cool looking at the car. You know, sadly the car's been lost to time, but this, again, you know, when you can't have the real thing, always good to have it in miniature. If you see this kit out in the stores, local hobby shops, or online, I would definitely recommend picking it up. It is a great little kit to put together. The only issue I had was with the front marker lights. They were a little larger than the openings. Even if I sanded them down, they just didn't look as well as I wanted them to be. So they're in there as best as they can be. Steering is posable, and that's also a plus with this kit. It just sits nice. It goes together very well. And again, besides the marker lights, I had no problems building this kit. You should not have any problems building this kit either. So go out and get this one and build it. Aoshima puts out some fine kits, so I'm sure I'll be building more of these. Now, I'm going to go on ahead and get to my other kit that I've been working on. Well, working on getting parts for it and doing some research. So I'm going to get this set up and show you what we got. Okay, so as you can see, I'm still in the mock-up phase of the build that I'm working on right now that was inspired by a magazine article that I kept. This was the October 2021 issue of Hot Rod, where this car has basically been for over 40 years unchanged. And it was a car that I saw back in CarCraft magazine, and they actually mentioned it. It's in the article there, and I liked it. I thought it was sharp. I liked the different paint scheme on it. And I mean, these are the cars I grew up with in the early to mid 80s. So I was a real big fan of Pro Street looks, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go on ahead and build this. When the AMT Craftsman Plus kit came out, that's this one right here, I said, why not? It's a 64, whereas the car in the article right there is 65. Not really much of a difference, but still, you know, when you see what we're going to be working with, there's going to be some different items taken care of as well. But to start off with, the body lines on this kit are really, really nice. Definitely mimics the 64 and 65 Chevelle really well. I mocked up the bumpers and the grills and the tail lamp panel just to kind of see what it would look like, and kind of also got the tires and wheels underneath. Now I'm most likely going to use these, but I'm going to think about that some more, because those front tires and rims came from, in fact, the whole chassis, with the exception of the front end, the chassis, tires, and rim came from the AMT 66 Chevy Nova Pro Street right here. And those rims obviously are not the same as those. Those, I believe, are center lines. These, I think, maybe are Champs. I'm not sure. But I'm going to take a look at the aftermarket and see if I can find something that matches that. And if I can, great. If not, I'll think of something else. However, these are poor fitting. And I remember that when I built this Nova kit, I built maybe 3 or 4 of them. I liked them. So when they came out at Walmart, I went on ahead and picked up like 3 or 4 of these kits and a couple of the 67 Chevelle kits as well, because I do like the Pro Street and Pro Stock looks. So I figured I'd have the chassis for that, and then maybe give the bodies to my friends for slot cars. Anyhow, what I did was, and as soon as I lift this up, the wheel's going to fall off and everything, and that's fine with me. Okay, we're going to move this out of the way. What I did here so far was I mocked up the tube front end. This is from Iceman Collections, and I've got it in there mocked in place, and I can pull it out if I need be to paint it. In fact, I will, because when I looked at the kit here, the roll cage is red. So I'm going to assume that the front items are also red, but they're hidden by some engine tin. Now, I'm going to kind of take creative liberty on this and not do that unless I find a couple of empty cans here that I can kind of cut and, you know, fit to trim. But otherwise, I kind of like this exposed look here. It comes with all the pieces necessary to build the front end, including the suspensions. Once I have that in place, I'll have a better idea on what I want to do. The detail on the parts are just phenomenal. 3D printing has definitely come a long way, and I hate to hide that detail underneath engine tin. Okay, underneath, I did use, there goes the bumper, I did use the 66 Nova chassis. A perfect fit once I took out the front end. What I'm also going to have to do is obviously make a filler panel of plastic, and I'm going to have to work on getting the suspension to line up with that, because there's obviously a noticeable gap there. But this is where the front firewall and suspension will be, because that will also allow me to get the windshield in place, the dashboard, and part of the interior panels, which I'll show in a bit. Also, when I cut off the front end, I'm going to reuse the engine mounts under the big block that I'm going to put in here. Now, when I looked at the article and I checked out some of the information, he's currently running a 461 cubic inch engine, and obviously it's got an automatic backing behind it. When I looked at that and I realized the shifter I bought from Iceman is a 4-speed. So now I'm going to have to find an automatic shifter, and I think he does have those, but we'll go on ahead and do that. And as far as the interior, when I looked at it, it's not tin, it's the original. There's a nice little picture of that with a couple other cars from the day. I mean, dig that AMX out in the back. Love to build that. And then if you look way back there in the back, there's a Triumph. It's pretty sweet. And then of course, I like the big car, the Pontiac back there. So, I mean, when you see this article and the picture, yeah, it's pretty sweet. Definitely bygone era. Anyhow, I go and I'm looking at the interior, There we go. The interior, all the original side panels, and of course the engine, or not the engine, the interior tin, which I could definitely do that and build up off of it. But this is a very shallow interior for the Chevelle, but I do want to keep it, so I'm definitely going to have to look at cutting that as best I can. I'm going to reuse the dashboard as well, and the mounting points for the dashboard, so I'm definitely going to try and save as much of that as I can so it'll fit in properly. As far as the dashboard's concerned, there was one part I was looking at. If I can get to it. I think it's here. There we go. The dash obviously is stock to the 64. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut that out, put a piece of plastic in there with some holes for actual gauges, and try and make my fit with that. I don't have a steering wheel that matches that, so again, back to the aftermarket. I think in my parts box I've got a couple of these racing style seats, and of course you can see the B&M shifter right there. I'm going to have to find that. It's not a 3-pedal layout, although I would like to do it that way, but you know, be that as it may. Some of the other things when I'm looking at this, obviously that 5-tone paint scheme, you know, I got silver on black, but with yellow, orange, and looks like a deep red or burgundy. I think I've got the paints for all 3 of those, and I'm gonna look at that and see how I'm gonna do it. Also, the bug catcher, painted red on the inside, and I'm gonna show you the engine that I got from Iceman in just a moment, but that'll be really good for paint detail. I can just kind of keep looking at this. I am going to work on racing harnesses as well. I have a small box of a lot of the parts that I'm getting. I've got a Protec right here, the Monster Tack. I think I'm going to definitely put that in. There's my seatbelt hardware, and then I'm going to go ahead and get some thin craft ribbon for that. Of course, red on the pre-wired Excel distributor, and I also have an Excel ignition box for it. And of course you see some of the parts for the kit right there, very well done. The hood, well, we're not going to worry about the hood, but obviously there's a lot of cool stuff that I've picked up so far for this, and it's going to take a while to build, but the one that I'm definitely going to have some fun with, I think. Ultimately, this is the engine that will be powering this bad boy. It's a vintage blown big block Chevy Hillborn with Dominators. Now, he has on the actual car, I think 750 or 780 Hollies, but you know what? Dominators work just fine for me. This kit, in and of itself, the engine, it's got the headers, has a blower drive belt separate, blower pulleys. It does have valve covers that are plain, or valve covers with the breathers. The valve covers on the engine in this kit have just one breather on each side, but again, it's not going to be an exact 100% faithful replica, except hopefully in the paint job. But I'm definitely going to do some due diligence on this with detail, wiring, hopefully with some plumbing as well. Definitely, if you have not bought stuff from Iceman, Joel Mendoza, definitely go check him out and buy some stuff from him. I mean, he's got 3D printed parts that are great. I think MCV also has a website now that he's selling parts. I haven't bought any from him yet, but they look nice. There's that bug catcher right there, which I can paint red on the interior. But ultimately, this is what I've got going. Is it the kit that I'm going to be focused on every week? No. I'll do a little bit each week. I want to take some time on this. I'd like to get this one built before the end of the year for the group build that Jason Hanscom over at Blue Ox Model Shop has for everybody. I'd like to have this built for that. I just really want to put some good loving on this thing. But I will be building some other kits in the meantime. Next week, the NNL is going to be in Grimes, so I'm going to be going to that, and hopefully I'll come home with a lot of pictures that I'll show you from that. I am hoping to actually enter some of my kits in there if I can get them entered in time because I have to teach that morning. But otherwise, if I don't get them in there, I'm going to look at everybody else's kits. They had a group build regarding the Demon, and I'm going to see if I can find myself some kits to bring home. So next week, I'll be doing that. I'm trying to work on this a couple of times this week. In the meantime, I'm going to go on ahead, and I hear my daughter upstairs making noise, so it means I've got to go and make some breakfast. So in the meantime, you guys continue building the cool kits and continue checking out the video. Like and subscribe, share it with your friends. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we will catch you in the next video.